Go! Alright, welcome to Quotes and Chokes, episode 15. I'm Nick Angeloni.
I'm Root Pagosian, and our guest today is Carrington Jet Setter Banks, a top prospect in the Bellator lightweight division. He'll be fighting next Friday, October 12th in Bellator 207. We're happy to have you. Jet Set, I think that's the first time I called you by your real name, Carrington.
Yeah.
I always call you Jet Set.
Everybody thought my name was Banks.
But it's Jet Setter.
It's Jet Setter.
So first,
People call me Jet Set too, either or.
Either or.
Either
How
or.
did that nickname come about?
It came about from this song called Jet Setter by Tabby Benet.
You know that song?
It's
I was
not
gonna
to
say, I don't even know what that word means. I was like, I feel like
Jet Setter is like a traveler, a person who travels many places and like
gotcha.
But there was this guy named Tabby Benet who made this song called Jet Setter, and I used to love the song.
They'll hype you up or what?
Huh? It used to hype me up, but I used to listen to it all the time my freshman year of college. So people start calling me Jet Setter. Then I put it on my Facebook, Carrington Jet Setter Banks, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're Jet Setter."
Nice.
And then it just stuck. Yeah, so I've been a Jet Setter ever since.
So you like that kid and remember that old movie Hardball? And there's that kid that listened to Big Papa.
Oh,
every time.
what's his name? I know who you're talking about. Maybe something.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
So let's talk about your fight coming up. Who you fighting? You know, how's your camp going? It's done now, right?
Yep. Camp is done. I'm fighting Mandel Nalo, dude from Canada, 6-0.
Okay.
Yeah. Little taller guy, well-rounded. Trains at TriStar. Camp's been going well.
Nice.
You did this whole training camp with us.
Yep.
With us and partially with Genesis?
Yeah,
right?
part with you guys and partially with Onyx.
Onyx.
Yeah. So with Justin and Matt Lopez and a little bit of Trevor over at Onyx's gym. So
They got a gym now?
yeah, they have a gym over there. Yep.
Okay.
So Justin's wrestling coach, Ben Charrington, he was working with Justin for Justin's last camp. And I was there working with those guys, and they've been working after his camp, so we just kept it going. And so I've been doing my wrestling there. And then Thursdays, we do like a light little flow over there. And then Wednesdays, I would come up and...
That's dope. So you had a good mix.
I did, yeah.
So
yeah.
Onyx is new? That's a new thing?
Yeah, it was fairly new. It's been there for a little bit. That's where he makes his gloves and stuff like that.
Gloves are legit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like his factory.
Talking about Trevor Whitman.
Yep. So that's just like his factory where he makes his gloves and does his business. And like all the people who work are also there as well. And then he has a space for training as well, and he got bags and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Trevor training you for this fight? Is he coaching you or?
I would say more mentally coaching. He's been pointing out little things for me, telling me where I can get better. So he's been helping me when he's around. Okay. Because he's been busy with his gloves and stuff like that. Yeah. So.
Have you used his gloves?
I have.
They're nice, huh?
They are. They're the shit.
They're really nice.
I don't even use wraps with them.
And before that, you were training Blackzillians, right?
Yep. Before that, I was training. So I was at Genesis initially. Before I start training with you guys and training at Onyx, and then before that, I was with the Blackzillians.
And then, so you came out here with Neil Melanson, right?
Yeah.
So you were with him out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you followed him out here. What made you stay?
I wanted to be here, regardless of whether Neil came out here or not, because we all knew we were going to leave Florida at the time. Like me, Neil, you haven't met another teammate of mine. He'll be around some point.
Nice.
Tywan Claxton, AJ Matthews. Like we were all like a small little group over there.
Yeah.
That was still training at the Blackzillians.
Where did AJ Matthews go?
He's in San Diego at Lions. Yep.
Okay.
So Pat Cummings.
Yeah, okay.
He was up here as well. He was training at Genesis with us. He was living out here.
Nice.
But he's at Alliance now too. So we knew we were going to leave Florida. So at that point, I wanted to come to Denver. Like I just wanted to be out.
What was it, the Elevation or what?
The Elevation. I have some good friends out here.
Oh,
Yeah, I have some friends out here. I knew there was a lot of good training, a lot of good gyms out here, a lot of good striking coaches out here. So I already had Neil as a grappling coach. And I was like, which is huge. Like he's been my guy throughout the whole time I've been in Florida, basically.
I've only read one grappling book, and his grappling book is the only one I've read.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The flip side of that, though, is there's a book on triangles, and I've never seen this fool ever do a triangle.
You learn anything?
No, it's in a book of triangles.
I thought his book was about triangles. Is that another one?
No.
He does have a triangle book though.
Oh, okay.
He does.
I thought that was his only book.
Bro, come on, you serious?
Yeah,
Touch a triangle book.
Yeah, he does have a triangle book.
Fuck a triangle.
Yeah, that dude's a monster. So we talked about this a little bit about people listening. So Neil Melanson was he was the head coach for Extreme Couture back when it was like in its heyday, right? And then he was the grappling coach at Alliance, which is Dominic Cruz's gym.
Yeah.
Then Blackzillians, was he head coach out there, or was he grappling coach?
He was just a grappling coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about this. This dude is so gnarly that he broke his toe, and they told him like you're gonna have to take six months off training, and he was like, cut it off.
Yeah.
That's commitment right there.
That's a true story. That's legit a true
But
story.
like you need your toes to balance to stand.
Because
you don't need your big toe.
I didn't want to ask him like what happened. You know, like it seems a little rude to just be like, yo, what happened to your toe? It could have been a terrible story, you know. And then one day, like he just told me, he was like, I chose to cut it off, and I'm like, what? Like why? You know, it's like, they told me I had to sit out, so I was like, fuck that, cut that shit off, and I'm like, wow,
that's dedication right there.
That's dedication.
I've seen that. There's a video of him. We just posted it on our page, and it was him talking about old school wrestlers, and he was like, listen, you can control any man by his asshole.
That sounds like him.
It's so grimy, but it's true.
It is. He is a mean dude. That's why fighting is a mean sport.
Yeah.
You know, so he brings that mean side out of you.
Matt Brown was like that too. Notorious for checking the oil.
Yeah. Wrestlers check the oil too. So
I fucking hate that.
I don't do it. Yeah.
Whatever position you're in, if you check my oil, like fine, fucking get on top, it's yours.
You got the position. Have it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll do that in a fight for sure if I have to. I'll do my mentality is by any means necessary.
I couldn't bring myself to do it
in
fight.
practice, it's like
don't do it to your partner.
Just do it to me, right?
We gotta hang out later.
We gotta practice it. I'm like,
so,
at you.
how do you like training out here?
I love it. Man. Training with you, you know, Elevation, newly training at Elevation, man. I'm glad that, you know, everything happens for a reason, and it allowed me to be able to go over there and find out what Elevation was about and get some training with you guys, and it's been great.
It's been great. It's been great having you, Gaethje, Abel, Matthew Lopez.
Yeah.
All you guys bring a whole new level to the team. Just bringing each other up like iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
And
you need that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like Elevation is such has a killer room, but I feel like it's kind of a hidden gem or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I hear.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was saying, I hear a lot of analysts, like they'll be talking about our teammates, and they'll just be like, "Oh yeah, like wherever he trains."
Yeah.
You know, and like
for real.
Yeah, like a lot of people haven't.
I didn't know too much about Elevation until Justin was like.
Didn't know too much about.
Yeah. So Justin was like, "Yo, come! I'm doing sparring at Elevation." He was like, if you want, you can come with me. And I was like, you know, he's like, you can get some good looks. So I was like, yeah, I'll come with you. You know, like I need some good training partners.
I remember when you first came, you thought I was a 45er.
Yeah.
And I thought you were a 45er.
Yeah, because
we're both
not that big.
55ers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But you're one of the hardest rounds by far.
Thanks,
because your wrestling
that.
is so sharp and your striking so good. And that's, like, your style is similar to mine. Your focus is on wrestling and boxing, which is, I think, the foundation to MMA.
For sure.
Like Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu is necessary, but I think it's like the priority comes with wrestling and boxing.
For sure.
And then once you have good foundation, that you can
add the other little pieces. For sure, I agree. And being predominant, I think you're predominantly a grappler. You know,
I started as a boxer, believe it or not.
Okay, well,
I switched.
You wouldn't know, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I mean, his boxing is good, but
I switched over. I switched my style a little bit to, you know, like work with my body type.
Okay. Yeah, same here. You know, my wrestling was good, and then, you know, punching and boxing just teaches you how to close the distance.
Not bad, guys.
Every time. Shout out to Ash. Shout out to Ash Angeloni.
His wifey.
Yeah. All right, we're back.
She actually picking up that proper 12 or what?
She calls in the middle of every single episode, but then I also forget to put my phone on airplane mode every single time. So
Yeah.
only blame myself. All right, so continue what you were saying.
What was I saying?
He lost his strength.
Well, you were saying something about you changed your style to your body.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. I said I changed my body style.
No, change your fighting style to match your body style.
body type.
Well, I think that the wrestling, that side of it, the feints sets up your offense really well. Like the wrestling, like being able to catch people with hesitation, getting them to hesitate with your feints and make them think you're going to wrestle them.
That brings their hands down.
It brings their heads down and sets them up for striking. So like without getting ahead of myself, it made it easy to set up people with feints and use my hands.
Yeah.
So like you said, like afterwards you start sprinkling in the kicks, and with the ground game you start sprinkling in the jiu-jitsu. But initially, like I was trying to learn how to blend my wrestling with my striking.
Yeah.
And that was what just came naturally to me. Using my feints, using my hands, moving my feet, and then you sprinkle in some kicks every now and again, and it just keeps your guy guessing.
Dude, your style is like, I feel, reminds me a lot of like Michael Chandler.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
You guys are pretty
That's
similar
funny.
in some ways.
Well, we did have the same coach too. Neil Melanson was both our coaches.
Oh,
yeah. So like that's how I met Michael Chandler. Was through Neil. Like we trained together for a couple of years. Which
I didn't know that.
Chandler's training at the gym or with the coach that I used to train with, Henry Hooft.
Oh, okay.
Now they're at a new gym called HK365. So like so the Blackzillians was a big team, and then a huge chunk of the team went and started their own thing with Henry. So Chandler was a part of that, and I stayed with the Blackzillians, which was a smaller piece, and it was Neil and Abel and Pat, AJ, Taiwan, all of us, Yuri Villafort. Yeah, so we all stayed with the Blackzillians, and when we figured out we were leaving.
That's the thing though, right? Like when it gets to a certain amount of people, this groups start forming within the big group. And like they kind of branch out.
Yeah.
I wonder what that number is, like maybe about after 150 maybe? 100?
I feel like it's smaller than
What
that.
you mean, like teammates or fighters within the gym?
Start, like,
Yeah.
clicking up and stuff,
I don't think we had 100 or 150.
No?
Nah. Like that's like an ATT number. They got a lot of teams.
Yeah.
They got a lot of people over there. But we had a big group. I wouldn't say 100 or 120, but we definitely had a big group. And I just
But
think
it's clicky though, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that once teams get big like that, like, I don't know, just from seeing other gyms like have success or failures or fall apart, I think that when it gets really big, like it seems like that tends to happen, like for whatever reason.
ATT's still going strong though. They got
They
champions.
got a resurgence. There was because ATT was like the old school.
And so was
dominators.
AKA.
Yeah, and then they died off, and then like I feel like they came back.
They came back.
It's funny with Blackzillians. I felt like was like when Rashad and all those guys started Blackzillians, they brought in like all these names, like these huge names.
Yeah, see, we had a lot of names.
Yeah, but all those people, they kind of stopped winning.
Yeah. Well,
Rashad started losing, and
there was a time when we were doing really well. Like for 1 year, we had won over 90% of our fights.
Really?
Yeah, like during the year of the Ultimate Fighter.
Okay.
That where we had that Ultimate Fighter, we won 90% of our. We had Vitor was fighting for a title. AJ was fighting for a title on the same night.
True.
Yeah. So during that year, we had a fantastic year.
Okay.
We had a lot of guys doing well. Eddie Alvarez was there. Michael Johnson was fighting really well at the time. Kamaru Usman.
I didn't know Eddie Alvarez was over there.
Yeah, Eddie was there for a couple. He was there for a couple years, but he still lived. He was living in Philly, and then he was coming down the train. Then he moved down there for like a year, and then he ended up moving back home and was still training with us. But yeah, it was just a lot of names there, and we were doing really good for a while. But I think the clickiness and like the separation started to mess with our winning percentage. Like people start losing because the team wasn't as tight as it used to be.
It's harder to keep a team together cohesive than it than it seems.
Mm-hmm.
It
Right,
is.
for sure.
Yeah.
There's so many, especially with fighters. There's so many personalities, different fighters have like narcissistic tendencies too.
Yeah.
Like usually, typically, not everybody, obviously, but like everybody wants to be that top dog.
Everybody want to be the
pulling in
man.
their direction.
Yeah.
Everybody want to be the man. That's for sure. Especially when you got a lot of names and you got a lot of people who could potentially face each other, or this guy does better. Like it's just, who knows what's going on in other people's head or how they feel about the situation or the people. But also, I think it has a lot to do with the leadership. I think the leaders of the team are important, and the coaches, the way they lead the athletes is huge. I think that's what keeps everything together. What keeps
the glue that keeps
it is. It's
together.
the glue, man. And the second that a little, beef starts happening between the leaders, or the leaders start feeling a certain type of way, then I think everything starts to fall apart.
These are valuable lessons.
What was it that made you were saying before you moved, you and Neil and AJ and your group of guys, was you already knew you were gonna move?
Yeah.
What was it that made you decide that?
Like to move here?
Yeah, or just you knew you were gonna leave in
He
general.
thought about
right?
moving to Denver.
No, but you said like you knew you were gonna leave.
Yeah.
So Denver was a good spot. But why did
Well, at the time,
you were all thinking on leaving?
yeah. Well, at the time, at that point, the huge chunk had already branched out, and we were all me, Neil, and the smaller group. We call ourselves the Filthy Few.
Okay.
Yeah. We call ourselves the Filthy Few. We were all just training together, but it was like it was a struggle. Like. The gym wasn't always, like the bills weren't always being paid, or this and that. And there was always problems. And we like literally put the gym together. Like we had to move the gym. So like between all of us, we had to put the mats down and tear the windows off and paint. Like, dude, we had to do all the labor so we could train.
Not backing you guys?
So at the time, yeah, Jocko, once all the people had left, like he had... Glenn Robinson, R.I.P., who had passed away, he had let go of Jocko, so because there was no need for it, because a big group of the people had left. So he found a different and a smaller space, and in order for us to have this space put together, because we had fights coming up, we couldn't wait for somebody to figure out who was going to pay and this and that. So we were like, we're just going to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So we just did it ourselves, and things like that was happening, just something after the other.
Little shit adds
up, and it's like I don't want to have to continue to worry about all these little things, and
it's taken away from my focus.
It's taken away from my focus and my training. I just want to go somewhere to where I can just show up and train in the structure, and I don't have to worry about all these little things. And it's like we try to make it work. We were at one gym, and then we were at another gym, and then we were at another gym, and after so many times, you're just like, I gotta make a change.
Right.
And that's basically what it boiled down to for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, we got to change some things up. So we all ended up deciding that, regardless of, because Taiwan went back to Ohio. AJ, he's living in California. Me, Pat, Abel, Neil, we all came to Denver. But the plan was for when people had camps to come here for weeks at a time and do their camps. So we could all still train together. Yeah. So that was the initial plan, and that was what we were planning on doing. But plans don't always work out.
So then Neil moved back to Vegas, huh?
Yeah.
Why did that end up happening?
Neil, long story. I don't want to really get into that one.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
No, it's okay. Like I think Vegas was just better for him. He trained at Randy Couture, Extreme Couture.
Yeah.
So a lot of his guys, he's already trained there before. He knows a lot of people there. He's got a lot of connections there. And it was just the best scenario for him. So that was the move that he had to make, for himself. That was
the right move for him.
And we are back. All right, so when we were on break, we were talking about your last fight. Mm-hmm. Didn't go your way, so you were saying you were sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were sick?
Yeah, that last fight, I had the flu, the walking flu. The Bellator had me the walking flu.
What's that?
So it's like it's like lies dormant until like
you get stressed out.
You get stressed out. You do something active, and like it comes out. Or so I've never had it before. So
you had it like during your cut, and you got out there.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. This is how I knew I had it. They had me go get my hand checked out because every fight, my hand always gets messed up. So they were like, "We want to get your hand cleared before this fight." So they made me go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and when I was there, they cleared my hand, but they checked everything else. And the lady was like, she would start telling me that I had all these things wrong with me. She was like, "You got water in your lungs.
Did you have walking pneumonia?"
Yeah, they're walking pneumonia. Yes.
Yeah, you can't breathe with that shit.
Yeah, so that's what it is. Walking flu, walking pneumonia. Yeah. So like she was like telling me I had all these things wrong with me.
That's the next level.
Yeah, so she was telling me I had all these things wrong with me. And I'm like, what? Are you?
Please don't tell me that.
Yeah, but I thought she didn't know what she was talking about. I'm like,
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm like, nah. I'm like, you sure is it? Because it was Thursday and the weigh-in was Friday. So I'm like, you sure it's not because I'm cutting weight? Like, that's maybe why my body is kind of looking like it's in bad shape because I'm cutting weight. She's like, nah. Like, she's like, it's not because you're cutting weight. And she's telling me she didn't want to clear me to fight. So at that point, Abel was with me. I called him in the room, and I'm like, listen to this woman. I'm like, talk to her. I'm like, tell him what you just told me. So she tells him, and she's like, yeah, like these things are wrong with him. And she was like, she broke it down to a science. And she was like, the first, like right when you start fighting, you're gonna get tired. Literally, that's what she told me. She was like, you're not gonna have enough oxygen to attach to this and that, and like you're not gonna have enough oxygen. It's not gonna be a fair fight. So I was like, all right. And I was like, well, you don't have to clear me, do you? And she was like, no, you can fight if you want to fight. So I was like, all right, well, that's settled.
She should have just kept her mouth shut. That was like, you would have been better off not knowing that.
I didn't think about it.
Oh, that's good. You
put it on your mind? I wasn't thinking about that. Like, it was not in my head. Like, at the moment, like, it kind of like scared me a little bit.
100% fine.
I mean, like part of I was cutting weight, you know. So like, for the most part, I was like, I'm good. But like she said, like it's not gonna show up. She's like, you're not gonna notice it until you start being active, until you start fighting. Yeah. So within the first less than a minute of the fight, I felt it.
Oh, that's a terrible feeling.
Like,
you got 14 minutes.
I got a takedown, and I put him down, and I was like, I'm gonna let him come up. I was like, I'm gonna let him come up, and I'm gonna strike. And when I let him come up a little bit, and I had him press against the cage, I just kind of felt my energy just be zapped a little bit.
Because you're using like 50% of your lungs.
Yeah. So I just kind of felt my energy be zapped, and I was, you ignore it, and you're like, I'm gonna just push off and, catch my breath and push on, move on or whatever. I never recovered. After that point, I never recovered. And my body and my energies felt so weak. Like, I felt so weak. And like during wrestling exchanges, like I normally win those, and I couldn't win a wrestling exchange. Like it was just a terrible situation.
You don't cut a lot of weight, do you?
No. Well, walking into the fight, Abel knows they made me weigh before the fight. I weighed 161.
Damn.
Oh, day of, yeah?
No, like in the back, warming up. They made me go get on the scale.
Huh? What do you usually weigh fight day?
70.
Okay, so that pneumonia kept some of the weight off.
Yeah. So like that worried me a little bit too. So like I couldn't put no weight on, and like I knew I was really light, but I was like, fuck it, like I'm still gonna get it done. Like no matter what, regardless, I'm gonna get it done.
I think those experiences only make you stronger though. Like if you're a true winner, like shit like that, like having be able to fight through using half your lungs. So if that's you at less than 50% and you could make it through the whole fight like that.
Looking back at it now, and like, let's say like, knowing what the outcome is, would you, if you were in that situation again, you knew how it was going to turn out, would you still go forward with the fight?
Nah.
That's because me thinking about it, like if it was in my shoes, I'm like, man, I think I would have been like, it's not like I'm afraid of losing, but it's like this is not even going to be a fight.
For sure.
I know I wouldn't because fucking cardio is not my strongest point.
Yeah. But think about it. If a doctor tells you something, are you just gonna listen to him before a fight, or like say that you're in the UFC and you have a fight and it's your first main card fight, and then the doctor tells you
fight mode.
Yeah, and the doctor tells you something. How do you respond? Like, Do you like trust him?
It's
And you go
easy from the couch right now, sitting here, say, yeah, like I won't fight.
Yeah.
But when you're in that moment,
yeah.
don't
And it's,
let that
it's
person
2
go
days
in.
before.
Yeah, you
Was this like your first or one of your first fights in Bellator?
No, I wasn't. It was my 4th fight.
Okay.
But you know, like just being that close, I didn't want to pull out for whatever, you know. And then you need money.
There's a lot of pressure.
You got to make money, so you're expecting that paycheck as well. You know, so you're like, I need this paycheck, and I don't want to just pull out a fight 2 days before.
Yeah, that's a hard decision. I don't know.
It is, but I've never
Like,
been
it's
in that
easy.
situation.
Yeah.
It's easy to make make the right decision looking back.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
So you hope that in the future, if something like that comes up again, you'll make the right decision.
No question.
But you know, like
Sometimes you imagine things like that. You imagine the situation like that's coming, and you think, well, I'll feel sick, but I can push through that.
Yeah.
And I remember a while ago, Chuck Liddell or something, this is obviously a long time ago, said something about having the flu or something during one of his fights.
Uh-huh.
And I remember thinking like, oh, I could push through the flu. You know what I mean? But then like, you get in that situation, you feel that.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, this is worse.
Yeah, for
than I
sure.
would be,
And
you know?
that's it. You can't know it till you experience it.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things like you gotta feel it for yourself, and then it's like in a fight, that's not the type of situation you want to go in and not be feeling your best.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's just
there's so much on the line.
there's so much on the line, and it's like it's just such a high pressure and emotional situation. Like, you know, like I think that once I felt that way, I wasn't in my right mind. And you got to be very in the zone and in your right mind when you're in the cage and when you're fighting to make good decisions, to make quick decisions, you know, and to just push through hard situations. Like you got to make sure you're the best you going into that, or that you can
Mentally.
be. Yeah, mentally.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that when you feel something like that, and it's like you haven't felt like that during the whole camp, you know, like you're questioning like where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it came out of nowhere. Even though she told me, like,
But
Did you make the
ignore it.
connection? Like
I did
you
until
felt
after
that?
the fight.
Oh really?
I didn't have time to make
It's
the
like, what the
connection.
fuck am I so tired?
I was fighting. I was just fighting. I was like, yo, I didn't have time to make the connection.
Huh.
Yeah, like I didn't, like, you know, like it was just fight. Like, you know, like he was coming at me, he was swinging, he was kicking.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't have time to think about how I felt really. Like I was just like, however I feel, I just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I'm still gonna win this fight. So I was losing every round, and
How many rounds was the fight?
Huh?
How many rounds was
3.
it? Okay.
In my head, I was still like, I'm gonna find a way to pull it off and win.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was like, I'm losing, but I was like, I'm still gonna win at some point. Like I was like, I'm gonna figure something
That
out.
says a lot about
You know, and I'm
It
gonna
does.
win.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
but it was just like everything was just, he was shutting down everything, and I felt terrible.
How much of that? So you came from a wrestling background.
Mm-hmm.
You wrestled at, what was the JUCO that you wrestled at?
Iowa Central.
Okay.
Same school John Jones wrestled at.
Yeah, John Jones,
Yeah.
Cain Velasquez,
Kobe
Covington.
That was your teammate, right?
Kobe was my teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was my teammate.
You were saying.
That's how you got started?
No, I got started because my coach called my bluff when we were at a fight, watching some fights.
You were just a wrestler back then?
I was a wrestler at that time, and a dude invited our whole wrestling team to come watch.
Or like sophomore, junior, what year?
I was a senior.
Senior, okay.
So it was like the end of my wrestling career. And this guy, who was my first MMA coach, Russ O'Connell, invited the whole wrestling team to go watch some fights. And I'm sitting there watching the fights, and I'm just talking shit. And I'm talking shit in the crowd. Like, I would whoop him, you know. I would beat that guy. And my coach is like, yeah, well, you know, like my coach is just like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, would you do it? And I'm like, yeah, I would do it. So, not thinking anything of it, he goes and gets the coach. He's like, hey, Carrington said he wants to come in and, you know, do some training. Like he said he would do it. So he put me on the spot. You know?
You had to walk the walk.
Yeah. So then the coach was like, yeah, come in this day. Like, we would love to have you in, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, fuck. You know? So I was like, all right, I'll come in and do it. You know, I'll come in and do some training. So then I came in, I did some training and realized I couldn't throw a punch for shit. Like, I couldn't throw a punch for shit. But it was fun. and they liked me, and they were like, "Yo, just keep coming back." So from that point on, I just kept coming back for fun.
Yeah.
Until they were like, "Hey, we booked you a fight."
How long?
And I was,
How long?
2 months.
After 2 months training,
2 months.
Oh, whoa.
They were like, "We booked you a fight," and I was like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "I told y'all I didn't want to fight. Like, I'm just doing this for fun."
How'd you do?
I won in 45 seconds.
Nice, okay.
I took him down. Just beat him up. It was over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of people that especially if they come from like a strong background of something in particular, and like, they're slow to get into their first amateur fight. And Cody and us were talking about this, just getting in there kind of sooner.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people would be surprised like how low the skill level is, like the barrier of entry is at like amateur MMA.
I ran through,
and that's
amateurs like knife through butter.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
TKO, and I thought it was Mike Tyson.
Right.
I thought it was a guy. Nobody's gonna stop me.
Right?
Ever.
That's what they were telling me. They were like, "Yo, if words come, they're like, you're gonna beat any guy up. It doesn't matter." Because I had no fights. You know, when they were all amateurs, it was like, just use your wrestling
especially when you come from
you're gonna
wrestling background.
As long as you don't get knocked out with like, the first shot,
exactly,
you'll be all right.
Exactly. So I was in there and I was just like, swing, nah, like shoot. Yeah.
Pretty much all my amateur fights, except for maybe one. Like I went in there thinking like, all right, because I came from a jiu-jitsu background, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get in there and try my striking.
Yeah.
We get in there and touch gloves, and I see this guy about to swing. I'm like, nah.
Right. Exactly.
I was the opposite. My first fight, actually, I somehow ended up on top, side control, and my coach, who's an Afghan guy, but he spoke some broken Russian, and he was like, "Naverhu, Arut, naverhu." It means like get up, get up. I let him go from side control, got up. I mean, I knocked him out, but like the level wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But who leaves side control?
Yeah.
Like, I was
Why'd you do that?
Huh?
Why was it coach
Because
thinking?
I thought fucking ground karate was gay. I didn't want to do any ground karate.
I'm gonna knock this fool out.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
That was my mentality up until I turned pro.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's surprising that you thought I came from a grappling background, because I switched it up so much. Now I'm an opportunist. I'll take the fight wherever my opponent doesn't want to go.
For sure.
So like I have no preference whatsoever. If they want to strike, we'll grapple. If they want to grapple, we'll strike.
That's how I feel. Whatever opportunities you give me, that's what I'm gonna take. And to be able to be that versatile makes you dangerous. You know, like to be able to put it where they don't want to be, or do the opposite of what they're doing.
That's GSP's thing. He's the original.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think if you're well-rounded, like you can't say something like, so someone's gonna fight you, right? You can't build a game plan that says like, all right, well, what I'm gonna do is like stop his wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, because like if you don't have a lifetime of wrestling, you're not gonna catch up. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you already have to be good enough at everything to be like, okay, all I need to do is just direct the fight in the areas where I have the edge. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be. I remember like when I first started fighting, I don't know. I think I had maybe 6 or 7 years of jiu-jitsu when I was doing my first fight.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the matchmaker, and the guy was like, "Okay, well, yeah, he said he's been working on his jiu-jitsu, so I think it'll be a good fight. Like it'll last like a few months or whatever." Because he got submitted, and he's like, "This time he's working on his jiu-jitsu." I'm like, "Well, I've been working on my jiu-jitsu for the last 6 years, so let's see how that goes for him."
Exactly. That's how I feel when anybody says they're working on their wrestling. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you got a lot catching up to do.
And that leads to this fight coming up today, Khabib versus Conor. Conor's been talking about how he's been bringing in all these 200-pound men, and all this grappling has been doing. To me, it's a toss-up fight. Like this is.
I feel the same.
Like I'm torn. I like them both for different reasons.
It's a toss-up.
But no matter how much grappling Conor's been doing, that's not going to be enough to counteract all the years of wrestling.
But I think Conor is an intelligent fighter. Like I think he has an intelligent approach to fights. So I think that he's smart enough to understand. Even if he says crazy shit all the time, which he always says crazy shit, he just says stuff to get under people's skin, and
he does.
You know, just to make people think whatever he wants them to think. Just whatever he wants them to think. But I think that he knows that he doesn't want to let Khabib get in and turn it into a grappling match, because Khabib's going to win that exchange. Right. But I think he does know that if he makes him make bad decisions, because grapplers can make bad decisions.
And Khabib does.
You know, like they can get sloppy. They can get anxious.
Hands down.
Mm-hmm. You know, if I can use my footwork and make him get extended and do all these bad, make these bad decisions and get out of position, then it gives me opportunities to land my stuff. And then that's just gonna keep adding up. He's gonna continue to make more bad decisions, and I'm gonna continue to stay in position and stay where I don't want to be.
I think a lot of this is going to come down to ring generalship. So who could keep the center of the octagon?
But you know what though? Like Khabib doesn't have good ring generalship. Like he chases a lot. He doesn't cut the ring out. He just follows you.
Yeah, McGregor's understanding of where he is way better.
Yeah, I agree.
But the pressure that could be put,
is different. It is different.
That he's facing.
And I think that if he can close the distance the right way, I think that it's gonna be a rough fight for Conor. Like I said, if he doesn't get extended and make bad decisions and leave himself open, trying to get the takedown, and he uses his timing and his feints really well. I think that it's going to work out in his favor. But I think if he gets overly anxious, Conor's he's gonna be his night.
And he might get overly anxious.
Takedowns are not really well timed.
No, he doesn't. I don't think he has. Like you said, I don't think he has the best wrestling. But if he gets a hold of you, he's a good finisher. He knows how to finish the takedowns. But getting into the shot.
Could be better. His fit-in could be better.
Yeah, exactly. His fit-in could be better. Exactly.
I think it's gonna.
Go ahead. I was about to say fit-in is a new word for me.
Yeah.
I never heard that till I moved here.
Till I moved here. Yeah, y'all. Yeah. Now I say fit-ins because y'all say fit-ins. I never
first
said
day of pro
fit-ins.
practice, they were like, "All right, strikes to fit-in." So I was like,
"Right,
what's a
fit-in?"
Takedown?
Yeah.
But if you think about it,
it makes sense.
It might be the biggest part of MMA wrestling, the fit in, how you fit in.
Yeah, it is.
Like, you make somebody put their hands up and their whole body's exposed for you to grab.
Well, I think it's the biggest part of MMA wrestling, assuming that if you already know how to wrestle, coming from wrestling.
Yeah, I got it.
Coming from wrestling,
even as a striker, I think that if you striking with somebody
and you're a good blast double,
and I think it's just about timing. Like it's like it is what it is. It's like what y'all call it, a fit in. So if you catch somebody doing being offensive and you time it, it doesn't matter what style you're good at. If you time it right and you catch them, throwing their punch.
I love provoking the jab, provoking the counter jab and slipping. Like this is boxing, so you're mixing boxing and wrestling here. Slipping the counter jab and getting in under that counter jab and straight to a double. But I'm the one that provoked it. I had him extend his arms, so it created all this room underneath, and boom, that's my entrance.
For sure, I think that's the key for Khabib. I think he can't try and get the takedown when Conor is moving. When Conor decides to be offensive, I think that's when he's got to close the distance and take the shot.
There's so much on the line for both guys.
I think it's going to be an issue of whether or not Khabib can take that left hand, because I think he's going to.
He's going to land it. Oh, he's going to land. I think he's going to land.
I think.
But if he gets hit with that left and is able to go through it, because you can't avoid.
That's going to be a game changer.
Right. You can't 100% avoid the clinch. You're always going to clinch at some point,
sure.
And once they clinch, he's going to lose. So it's going to be a matter of if he catches him coming in with that left and he drops him, then great. If he doesn't drop him.
You're right though.
You're right though. He's gonna be in some trouble because Khabib walks through punches. He doesn't, and he's not the type of dude that is gonna change what he does to like he does. I don't feel like he game plans too much.
Yeah. Like
you're saying, he's got to do this, and that. But I feel like if he doesn't already normally do that, he's probably not gonna do it now because he's not the type of dude to adjust.
You're right. I think that every guy he's fought hasn't presented the same type of challenge as Conor has, though. And in no fight has been the same magnitude. So
this is the biggest fight of his life.
The biggest
Conor has
biggest
already
fight in
been
UFC
there, done
history.
that.
Exactly. Biggest fight in UFC history. So going against a guy who game plans well and a team who game plans well, I feel like you gotta. I mean, I wouldn't change who I am if I was him. I would put the pressure, but you gotta make some small adjustments.
Small adjustments.
Yeah.
You gotta make some minor ones. Like, and I think Khabib is smart enough to but who knows? Like when you get in the cage, sometimes shit just goes out the window.
It does.
You know, like
Pressure.
you know, like like once the fight starts and the dude kicks you one time, then you go back to who you once were. You know, and you're like, let's fight. You know, so. I think it depends on who can execute their game plan better.
That's really what it comes down to.
For sure. I think that's what it boils down to.
This is a classic grappler versus striker matchup.
Yeah.
For sure.
Toss-up matchup.
Yeah. Conor definitely has the edge in like if I had to put my money on who's going to stick to a game plan, I feel like Conor's definitely the more.
I feel like he's a guy who knows how to execute a game plan.
He's the guy that's been under those big lights.
Yeah, exactly. He's executed game plans under the biggest lights.
Perfectly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think Khabib has got to execute his game plan better than Conor, who's great at executing the game plan.
Man, I already had my Khabib post planned out
For winning?
No, for before, like talking about why.
He's the biggest McGregor hater.
But now you guys are making me doubt my post, man.
No, but you know, I don't know, man. Like I just know that McGregor's gonna land his shots.
Yeah.
And like you said, if Khabib can take him or walk through him and it doesn't phase him to the point to where it ends the fight, then Khabib's gonna win.
That's what Abel said. Abel said he's like the juggernaut is gonna walk through it.
Mm-hmm.
You think that till you get hit on the chin.
On the chin, yeah.
You know, like
you gotta hide that stuff.
You know, or for real though, like nobody ever did Aldo like that.
Nobody did.
Yeah. You know, until Conor did it. You know, so it's like I wouldn't underestimate him. You know, like you can't underestimate him. If you do, I think it's a mistake.
I wish that Goldberg.
I think he knows that.
I wish that we could go back and have Chad Mendes beat Frankie Edgar so that he could rematch Conor.
Frankie knocked him out, right?
If you'd had a full camp, that would have been a different fight.
I agree, yeah. And so I'm thinking
it was less than 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then he was supposed to fight Frankie and then rematch, and then he got knocked out by Frankie. And I was because I just want Conor to lose, like with my whole heart. So I was thinking like, oh, Chad's gonna come back.
The passion of hate that he brings from McGregor is unparalleled.
He texted me last night.
But you gonna drink some proper 12 tonight, though.
But I feel like I have to.
That's right.
He was totally against buying.
He texted me last night. He's like, dude, you see the what's it called? The
embedded.
Embedded? And I was like, yeah, I saw it. It's too much Conor. I didn't like it.
So I'm gonna bring you some hatery.
Some proper 12.
So we're getting close to our time cap. Let me see here. We got a little bit more time. Let's talk a little bit more about your fight.
Where is the fight?
It's in Connecticut.
Oh, that's perfect. You're gonna be at sea level.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward because, like I said,
you gotta have. I guarantee you, I felt this. Mm-hmm. I felt about 10 to 20% more endurance.
Okay,
fighting at sea level.
That's good. I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, I was bummed out the last fight because I didn't get to take advantage of training at altitude.
You're watering your lungs.
Yeah, exactly. So this time around, I'm looking forward to being able to see what the elevation, what it does for my body.
It's a weird feeling. It's like when you go. So I got back to sea level like a couple weeks from my fight. And I remember thinking, like, am I not working hard or something? Like, am I being lazy? Because I just would go through practice and I would just, like, not be tired. And I'm like, what the hell, man?
I'm looking forward to it.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah, especially after having the fight where you're working with fucking half your lungs.
Yeah.
So,
right?
You gotta appreciate it.
Right. I am. I already know.
And they say, too, so, like, the effects, like, they get more drastic. Because at first, your body is, it's producing, more red blood cells. Mm-hmm. But after a couple years, your lung mass actually increases. So
your lungs get bigger?
More like alveoli or the air pockets. You get more of those over years.
A doctor here was telling me, like, I was asking him, I was like, it takes like, what, 3-4 months to acclimate? And he was like, nah. He was telling me like
it took me a year.
Yeah, he was saying a year. He was like,
it takes me a year.
It was like a year. It takes a year to acclimate.
When I first moved here from New York, I'd get my ass kicked by dudes that should not be kicked.
Bro, tired of the first scramble. Breathing hard after the first scramble.
Yeah.
It
was death.
So can you talk a little bit about like the game plan for this fight?
The game plan, you know, is like we just talked about not too long ago. Is I'm gonna take what's there.
Okay.
You know, like I'm gonna be an opportunist, and whatever he shows me, I mean, I'm gonna impose my will on him, and I'm gonna pressure him, and I'm gonna bring the fight to him. Because honestly, after my last fight, I got a bitter taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
So I really want to go out and perform the best I've ever performed.
Nice.
So
you
that's
got something to prove right now.
Yeah, I got something to prove. You
And
know?
to yourself above anybody
To myself,
else.
yep, to myself, exactly.
I know that feeling.
So for me, like, the game plan is to beat him up, and beat him up is be the best me I can possibly be, while being, because he's not no slouch. You know, he's 6-0. He's a tough dude. So I can't just be so anxious that I put myself in bad situations, in bad positions. So
stay sharp,
staying as sharp as I can, but being as vicious as I can be at the same time.
Doing you.
I like
He's
that.
doing me. Yep, exactly. So, you know, anything that he shows me or any adversity that comes within the fight, I'm ready for it.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
You know, like, I'm ready for whatever happens.
Well, I'll tell you, sparring you this training camp, your homie's gonna be enough for a rough night.
That's how I feel, you know. But I got to go out there and I got to do it, you know. And that's what it is.
So how can people watch the fight?
It's DAZN, right?
DAZN, yeah, like it's DAZ.
It's a new network. They're showing it on.
And you know, I didn't even
What
know
happened
that.
to Paramount or whatever?
I don't even know if this was the last fight was on DAZN, so that was the first time that they had done it. So I'm not sure if they're gonna air it on Paramount as well. Normally they do Paramount. I don't know if DAZN was like a one-time try thing.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, either DAZN or Paramount.
Exactly.
They can check it on MMAJunkie.com if they're not sure.
Nice. All right, cool. And then how can people follow you and keep track of your career and stuff?
They can follow me at Jet Set Banks on Instagram, CB_JetSetter on Twitter, and just Carrington Jet Setter Banks on Facebook.
Nice, cool. All right, guys, thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, on Spotify, and on Spreaker. You can find us at Quotes and Chokes MMA Podcast. We're also now on YouTube, Quotes and Chokes Podcast. Or actually, no, what's our YouTube channel? It's just Quotes and Chokes, right?
Quotes and Chokes.
And then you can follow the podcast social media pages at Quotes and Chokes on Facebook and Instagram. If you want to follow me and things I'm doing, I got some fights coming up here. It's at Nick Angeloni155 on Instagram, and it's at the Italian Stallion at Facebook.
When's your fight?
Hopefully 6 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's a card in a local card that's the 17th, and there's one on the 1st. Same promotion though, so they're gonna
Figure out.
fit me in on one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you can follow me at prime_time9999 on Instagram.
Nice, cool. All right, guys, thank you. See you next week.
Ciao.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
That was
nice,
good.
man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Nice.
Go!